This is Top Contender Boxing, where we keep it real, unbiased, and 100. Today's topic is Vergil Ortiz Jr. We're going to break him down from his last 3 fights, from Samuel Vargas to now. But before then, we'll bring up his stats. He's 24 years old. He's from Texas. He's 5'10". He's a light welterweight. 18 wins, 0 losses, 18 KOs. What do you think about his last fight against Samuel Vargas?
Samuel Vargas is he's a pretty good fighter too, but
A veteran?
yeah.
Yeah.
But Vergil's just he's on that fight he just came in stronger, hungrier, tougher, with more combos. He landed more. He had cleaner shots. He was moving around. And his referee wasn't liking it because he was moving around too fast. On the side with them.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think he KO'd him in the 7th round.
Yeah.
Seventh round. What's your take on that?
I think, like we were talking about earlier, he came in there young and hungry and, eager to knock him out, take him out. You can see that he was dumping all his punches, unloading on him. But a couple times, when he was loading, he was gassing a little bit. And that, not gassing dramatically, but that fight was able to measure him and show him, okay, this is where you make your mistakes and this is where you don't make your mistakes. He was able to pick his punches beautifully. That's no problem. But when he has a guy finish, he knows when to. He knew when to load and not load in that fight. And
when
that
to
fight,
finish him and when not to.
So that fight, he was a bit loading too much, and you can tell he was still green in that fight. Even though he got the KO, he was still a little green. So that's what I thought about that one on the Samuel Vargas fight. What do you think about the Hooker fight, Reese Hooker fight?
Oh man, on that Hooker fight, besides Hooker breaking his hand, that fight was just. Since the first round till the last round, he hurt himself. Man, that whole fight was just, Vergil was just, pushing him forward. Combinations. He's landing punches left and right. And using his footwork, and Hooker, he was using his jabs, pretty good. He was landing too pretty good. What's your take on that?
My take on that was when I saw Hooker move around, he was using his jab to keep him at a good distance and using his legs to get out of the way. He was moving laterally a lot in that fight.
Yeah.
He wouldn't really step in the middle of the ring too much because he knew there was problems there. So he was fighting him off the back and using the ropes a lot. And Vergil, that's when I noticed a little bit of growth from the Samuel Vargas to this fight. In that fight, he was able to cut him off. And I didn't think, I didn't think Vergil Ortiz was going to be able to cut him off as good as he did that fight. He was able to follow him and not get, caught in any traps. He was able to have him against the ropes, and he picked his punches correctly. Yeah, he loaded a little bit. Yeah, he was dumping good punches, but he was picking his punches correctly and knew when to step on the gas. In that fight, I personally believe he dominated Hooker. He hurt him.
Knocked him down in the 6th.
In the 6th round, he knocked him down in the 6th. And finished the fight in the 7th.
Yeah.
He pretty much broke him down.
Yes.
Pretty much broke him. That's what happened there. And, and you had Terrence Crawford there, as a spectator. And that, I think Vergil called him out. And some people want smoke, some people don't want smoke.
I guess because being Crawford, I don't know if he wants to smoke or not, but I would not mind seeing Crawford fight Vergil.
Oh, that's a super fight.
Yeah, that'll be a super fight. Yeah. Vergil wants it.
Yeah. What do you think about the Mean Machine against Vergil?
Oh man, now that was another fight too that me and you've been talking about it for a while. That fight right there, was a big test. I think it was for Vergil, and it was, and he had his mistakes, but hopefully he learned,
Yeah.
And as you can tell as the fight went, he was learning, but from the other fights, I think he did a good job. He was using his jabs, his combos like always, and his power was a lot on this fight. That's what made this fight,
Yeah.
That's how he took the fight, was from power. But Cabalasas, man, you have a warrior right there, man. A man that could take punches and bring them to you, But what's your take on that?
My take on that fight, Vergil, he finally had someone who could trade with him at a strong level. And, you got to give it to Mean Machine. He brought it like a dog. He came in there, fearless. He wanted to trade for trade, toe to toe. And, Vergil was just the better man in that fight. He had the more stings on his punches. He was more accurate, more faster. He was moving around more. Vergil looked determined, like I wasn't going to lose this fight. There was no sign of him wanting to lose that fight. And, he dropped him in the third round. He dropped Mean Machine in the third round. And then after that, he dropped him a couple times. He broke him down mentally and physically in that fight. You could tell that he was patient in that fight. That's where all those fights from Sammy Vargas to Hooker to Mean Machine, where he uses lateral movement, where he uses slight movements, because he didn't have big movements, Vergil. He had those little movements where it made you miss, and it set up good punches. And with that fight, that fight showed that he's able to keep up with the elites.
And patience.
Yeah. I don't know if it was after the fight, after the fight that Mean Machine went to Vergil's locker room.
To his locker room, yeah.
And he told him that you hit harder than Crawford. And, if people don't believe that, people don't believe any of our words, go ahead and go look that up on Fight Hub. Go ahead and look that up on any of their channels. Mean Machine went to Vergil's room and told him you hit harder than Crawford.
Yes, he did.
So, and he dropped him around faster than Crawford. I think Crawford did it in the
on
ninth.
the ninth? Yeah, on the ninth round.
Vergil did it in the eighth.
In a spectacular way, too.
Exactly.
In a spectacular way, better, too. Yeah.
A couple more times.
Yes.
Yeah. And, he's only growing from that fight. He's only he was 23 during that fight. Now he's 24. I mean, his strength.
He's still a young kid.
Yeah.
He's still growing. His power's still going to grow. He needs to get those belts. I think he needs to get all those belts right away because he's just going to get older and stronger and heavier. And I think he's going to probably end up at 160 in one time in his career. Yeah. But that's why he needs those big fights ASAP. I think he does because his body's just going to get, stronger and older, and he needs to go up higher on weight later on.
Yeah. And his last fight, he had a fight against McKenzie. He was supposed to have a fight against McKenzie on March 19th, 2022, but that fight had to get delayed due to illness. He had a kidney problems and liver problems with the illness, but they caught it on time, so he should be back soon to fight McKenzie, to bring that belt. But leave us your thoughts and opinions. Like and subscribe.
Thank you.